It's from Vince Gilligan, creator of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and it stars what's her name, Rhea Seehorn, who played she played Kim in Breaking Bad, right? And she's the star of the show, and she seems great in it, very sarcastic and fun to watch. But so if you watched any of the teasers, it's all about like she's like the only happy person on earth, like that's what it's about, and like everybody's trying to get her to be happy, even like there's like a
she's the only miserable person on earth.
Yeah, what did I say?
She's not happy, but you meant unhappy.
Sorry. She's the only not happy person on earth. Sorry, yeah. And there's even like a White House broadcast, directly at her, like, "Oh, we'd really want to make you happy, Carol," and she's just like, "What is going on?" And the whole show is like, if you haven't watched it, I mean, all the teasers are very vague, very kind of atmospheric and interesting and clever and all that. So the first 2 episodes came out last week. I watched them both. Obviously, all those teaser things are, they're in there. The sort of like discussing it without spoiling it. I don't know how you can do it, really. I mean,
how did you like it? Is it good? Is it compelling? Did you enjoy it?
You know what? I definitely liked it. It wasn't as completely out there as I was expecting it to be. The whole sort of the way the teasers worked made it seem like, what in the world is going on here? What is this story about? And now that I watch this, it's kind of not that far out of a sci-fi kind of trope in my estimation. I mean, I felt like there were a lot of things that are like not that surprising. The writing's great, the cinematography's fantastic, the acting's good. There's some really excellent stuff in it, but it wasn't like the whole story, what it's about, to me was not as sort of original as I was hoping.
I'll say I didn't watch any of the trailers. All I knew was this is Vince Gilligan's new show. I heard it's really good. I should put it on. I'm really curious about it. So I didn't have any expectations. I didn't know what it was about. I was surprised when I saw on Apple TV that it was categorized as sci-fi, because like, he's the guy from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, 2 very real grounded shows. I wasn't expecting science fiction whatsoever. And it isn't really like, science fiction-y really at all. It has a vague science fiction concept, but it is still another like very realistic, grounded show, kind of like The Leftovers. Not really. There's a science fiction element to it, but the show itself isn't spaceships and
right, and blasters and
the foundation.
Yeah, it uses sci-fi, and this is itself kind of a classic sci-fi trope. It uses this sci-fi setup to talk about the human condition, and it's definitely worth watching. I just say it's not as like mind-blowingly creative, wild, like it's no Severance. Let's put it that way. Severance. When I watched Severance the first time, my mind was actually blown. It was like, this is an amazing concept. I've never seen a story like this. It was just completely original. This one to me is like fun and great and well done, but at least so far, first 2 episodes, the concept is 10, not as surprisingly original as I was hoping.
I'll be more positive than you. I thought this was excellent. I loved every minute of it. And, we've only seen the first 2 episodes. Anybody can write a good first episode.
Not true.
You can have a good first episode and then have it like totally fall flat on its face by the end. See the last 2 seasons of Doctor Who. But I thoroughly enjoyed what I watched. The directing was absolutely fantastic. Vince Gilligan directed both of those episodes. I don't know how many in the whole season he's going to direct, but so many great shots in the first episode, especially. There's a slight horror moment in a few of the scenes where you see like the reflection of somebody like coming up behind the character you're watching. It's like, ooh, what's going to happen there? Like really, really clever camera work. So many times people either drive pretty much into or like directly away from a camera, like person's driving a pickup truck and like it stops where you can fully clearly see their face filling the screen, and like that truck must be inches away from the camera they're shooting at. Like it's really, really impressive stuff. You know, there's in episode 2, there's a lot of like really big real sets that they had to build. You know, they did some of it practically, which is neat. Like a few scenes that take place on like a a full size like commercial airplane. You know, really impressive stuff. It's good to watch. It's
Yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I wasn't trying to like knock it or anything. I think it was I loved it. I mean, I stayed awake for the entire 2 shows on a Friday night.
Well, there you go. That's the true measure of whether something is any good or not. Did Lewis stay awake?
2 eyes open. Yeah, it was. I definitely liked it, and the writing, like I said, the writing's great. It's funny. There's a lot of funny writing in it, and like I said, she's super sarcastic in that lead role, and it's kind of her against the world, really. I mean, and I wish I could talk about it because it is interesting. It's an interesting. It's an interesting.
Let's get into some spoilers. If you listen to this point, if you want to see it, tune out, and then if you want to keep going, we'll do a little spoiler talk.
So this is spoilers. Okay.
Oh, I'm going to tune out. Just give me the thumbs up when you're ready to bring me back in again.
All right. So what the show starts out with a very common sci-fi trope of scientists using radio telescopes and here alien invasion, very common. Hive mind, they're like it's not an actual invasion, right? It's a virus that downloads into 99.99999% of the human population, makes them super happy and super nice. They're the world's nicest Borg. It's
the Mormon Borgs.
Yeah, they can't hurt you. They can't do anything. They can't even really like do anything that will upset you. It's very strange.
Yeah,
and
they can't kill anything. They can't even step on a fly.
Right. Yeah. And they go on this charm offensive because there's like a dozen people on planet Earth or that don't.
There's like 12 of them that haven't been a part of it, and 5 of them speak English.
Haven't been assimilated. Right. Yeah. So they get together and they meet. And of course, like she's the only one who's like really like, this is horrible. We got to fight these aliens, this alien mind virus. The other ones are just kind of like, hey, this is pretty cool. We got, an entire world full of super nice people who are going to do our bidding for everything, and including the one guy, that last character, I can't remember his name, but the dude who flies in Air Force One. I mean, that got quite a chuckle out of me, and like his whole routine is just like, hey, I hit the big time,
I can just ask for whatever I want and they give it to me all the time.
Yeah. And I think one of the most, the whole thing of like, what is this sort of, what is humanity and what part of your humanity is there if you're, whatever, sucked into this hive mind? And she's fighting back because, because she wants to maintain humanity, which is, classic sci-fi trope.
And the rest of these have their families, and like, the main character is like, no, they're not your family anymore. Like I loved in the dinner scene when she's like asking these kids all of these like questions about surgery, and she's like, no, stop. And this kid's like giving like these, PhD like.
Yeah, to me, like one of the most sort of surprising aspects, I found this actually really surprising was when Carol gets upset, like all the other people who've been assimilated start like shaking and going offline. And what is that about? I mean, that to me, that's the most intriguing element of the entire show. What is going on with that? How does that happen? Where's that going to lead? I mean, I don't know how this show ends, obviously, and they've already renewed it for a second season, which is encouraging. They did that before the first show ever even aired. So they obviously Apple TV obviously believes in this show, and why wouldn't they? I mean, Breaking Bad is like one of the most amazing creative TV shows I ever saw. I loved that thing, and that to me is the kind of like the thing with Pluribus. Breaking Bad, I was literally gobsmacked when that show, like how did anybody dream this up? This one, I feel like it's been dreamt up. Maybe this is
the concept is familiar, but I think they're taking it in a very interesting way. It's kind of like I see a lot of comparisons to The Good Place, where it has like this big grandiose, like sort of metaphysical premise of the show, presented as like this weird, goofy sitcom. And a lot of things that you might expect, oh, well, this would take a different show, like an entire season to get to explore every single aspect of this plot. Like, it moves at a mile a minute and almost changes the complete premise of the show every few episodes, especially in its later seasons. And I can sort of see similar notes of that in Pluribus, where, a different show might spend twice as long like showing every detail of how the virus spreads. It skips over a lot of that just to get to the good part and like keep the show moving and keep it active, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely recommend Pluribus, and not just for sci-fi fans, for everyone. I mean, I think it like you're saying, it's definitely a sci-fi show, but it's not like sci-fi. It's I call it a comedy more than anything. I mean, it's pretty funny, and right. Last time I checked on Rotten Tomatoes, had 100% critics rating. Like 85% with audience members, still pretty high. I think what I read was that, some of the reviews that I read, they said that Apple had provided, I think, the first 7 episodes for reviewers in advance. So these reviewers are, they have a fairly good look at the show, and the reviews are, all around great, So I'm sure it's going to be a great show, and I don't mean to dismiss it or say it's not creative. It is creative. It's just not as completely, how did this happen, creative. Maybe it gets there. Maybe it becomes even more and more, original, and because the writing is definitely creative and fun and engaging. So I have high hopes.
When you were watching the first episode, I almost expected them to spend much more time on the scientists. Like, it's sort of like an A plot and a B plot where you see this discovery slowly unfolding, and then you keep cutting back to the author who will eventually become the main character of the show. And then, once the event happens, like, you obviously don't see those scientists anymore. Like, that was just like a sort of the setup, in the way that, the first episode of any show takes a lot of time just to explain the premise, and it isn't really representative of what the actual show is going to be like. And that was a little sad because I really liked a lot of those characters that they had in those scenes.
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, if it was a normal sci-fi show, it would have just been about those people, and it would have become them trying to figure out why this happened and deal. But, I mean, the fact of the matter is, the way the show is, like, they're part of the happy crew, right? I mean, everybody on Earth has instantly been turned into a, kind of happy person. To what effect? That's the giant question. What the hell? Why are they doing this? Why would this virus exist, and what's the ultimate outcome, obviously, is the big question. So
when you were watching the first episode, did it take until the very end, when the guy on the TV explained everything to the main character, for you to understand what was happening? Or, because for me, like, as soon as they said, oh, it's not a quaternary sequence, I was like, oh, it's DNA. It's the thing for a virus, and then that's going to spread.
Oh, no, I didn't.
I feel like I clocked what was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when I don't actually remember the exact sequence of understanding how all this also. I mean, what I have is this series of memories of, like, people licking donuts, which was an amazing scene.
It's deeply unsettling.
The Air Force One showing up, the meeting of the 5 people or 6 people, whatever it was, that haven't been assimilated. And the people flopping on the ground when she throws a hissy fit. So I mean, there's some great stuff in there for sure. So I think Apple TV's got another hit on its hand. It's kind of weird how they've had this string of really great shows come out that have actually, fulfilled the promise of, like, prestige TV, and a lot of it's sci-fi oriented, which is awesome. So
they're really becoming sort of like a sci-fi network between that, Severance, and they've tried so many ones. For All Mankind is another popular one, but they've also had Constellation and Invasion and Silo. Like,
Foundation,
Foundation. Sci-fi is really becoming their bread and butter. In the same way that I think, like, Netflix has been really leaning into comedy in the past few years as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'm still curious how all this streaming stuff's going to pan out, because everything just keeps getting more and more expensive. I looked at, like, YouTube TV or something that was like $85, and I actually almost fell over. Like, what? $85 a month? I still can't believe that. I don't know what that includes, but we recently got rid of cable, and so I'm like, okay, well, I wouldn't mind being able to watch, like, ABC or CBS once in a while. I mean, sometimes something is on that. I mean, it's literally like once every 6 months, but how am I going to do it? You have to like kind of re-envision your whole streaming life when you don't have cable. And man, it's not cheap. It's kind of crazy. And Apple TV, what's it? $13 a month now, right? So it started out at what, $5, and they were giving it away to everybody as fast as they could. And now that's almost triple in price. It's crazy. But hey, somebody's got to pay for these big production values. I mean, you see it on the screen. The stuff looks great. That show, like you were saying, the cinematography. I mean, it's if you ever watched Breaking Bad, that guy knows what he's doing, and it's for sure there in Pluribus. So